Hello. Hello. Hello.
Mira. Mira. Mayu. மைக்குட்டி ஒரே நிமிஷம் எனக்கு கொஞ்சம் கனெக்ட் பண்ணி கொடுத்து போற அந்த ஸ்பீக்கரை.
Hello.
Hi. Hello, Mansi. Hello. Hello.
Hello. Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, Mansi, I can hear you.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Hi, good morning. Can I check the video and see?
Yes, you can. I will stop my sharing. Just a moment.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. You can check your presentation.
What do I write? I should I choose that optimize screen sharing for video clip, or I'll do
So
it
you
later?
have videos.
I have two video.
Okay. And okay, let's check and then we'll understand also how good your bandwidth is.
Fine, I will do it without that. Let's see. How is it?
It's breaking, sir.
Breaking.
Okay, Glass, record a video.
So we will definitely, and I think this is also a high resolution video. So we
Must
will.
be. So I will stop. Say stop share.
Yes.
Okay.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
How is it now, Mansi?
Yes, sir, now it is much better.
Okay, class, record a video.
Then what happens to the presentations? They are blurry or they are okay?
No, it is still okay. It's fine.
This is okay?
To another slide which has more text.
This one? Hello? Hello?
Yes, yes, they are fine, sir.
Fine. I'll just, this is also playing okay?
Yes, this is playing absolutely fine.
Then I will see one. See this?
You need to do is, for example, you are
This is okay?
a dominant right-hand user.
Yes, yes, this is also all right.
Okay, then it's fine. So I'll keep it like that.
Yes, so what happens mostly, I mean, if your and my bandwidth is good, I will see it exactly the way you are seeing it. But
Oh.
somebody else's bandwidth is not that great. For them, the slides will blur.
Slides will blur. Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Is it a problem from your side or my side?
So what problem?
No, your voice is coming and then going off. Hello?
No, so I am muting myself.
Mansi?
You're muting yourself. Okay, okay,
Mansi?
fine. Yeah, someone is.
Mansi, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can.
Yes. Fine. Then I will.
Mansi Deshmukh? Can you
Yes,
hear
sir.
me?
I can't hear you.
Mansi?
Yes, yes, sir.
Can you
I
hear
can
me?
hear you. Can you hear me?
I just want to share my, I can check my, can I ask Dr. Benny to close his sharing? I want to check my
Yes,
slides.
yes, yes.
I stopped, Doctor.
Dr.
Hi.
Rajesh has logged into two things.
No, that is Kulkarni, sir.
Rahul Kulkarni.
I have logged in with a Rajesh name. Sorry, Rajesh. Mansi is going. Mansi, you change it. I think.
Yes, yes, I have changed.
Yesterday, I'm using different link. I think I'm using Rajesh's link. Hello, Lakshmi.
I'll send you your.
Hi.
No, it's okay. Good morning. Yeah. So
Good
thank you
morning.
very much
And,
to be part of this. Hi Rajesh. This is going to be the last session of this office neurology series, which we started about 3 months ago. And
Yeah.
the response was quite good. Every time there was about 300 people who were attending. So
Yes.
good. This.
Is it okay? The screen is visible?
Yeah, your screen
sir,
is
it is
visible.
visible.
Only thing is probably you need to speak a little louder.
Okay.
So do you want to try it without your headphones?
Yeah, but the only thing is it okay now?
Yeah, better. Much
Yes, it is better.
1 minute. I'll just put it on the maximum volume. But the slides are okay, no?
Yes.
Slides are fine.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Do you have any videos in your presentation?
Yeah, maybe one or two.
Okay, can we go to the video and play that and check?
Not much of animation. Nothing. There are no videos. Don't worry. There are no videos.
Okay, not a problem. So what we can do is we can try once without the headphone. So you will have to disconnect it from the laptop and then talk so that you can also hear us.
Just 1 second. I'll go to the Zoom and increase the. I'll increase the volume in Zoom. 1 minute. Just a minute. Audio settings. I have kept it as output volume. I'm just increasing it. Yes. Now it should be okay. How is the volume now?
Yes, sir, it is fine.
The volume now?
Yes,
It's fine?
Yes, sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you fine.
Yes, it is fine.
Fine. Okay. I've kept it as a maximum. All volumes maximum. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye. I'll stop sharing.
Yes, sir.
I've stopped. So I'm all set. Looking forward to Dr. Rajesh Benny. Dr.
We will begin in
Kulkarni.
5 minutes or so.
Dr. Kulkarni,
Yes, sir. Tell me.
in 2001, I wrote an article on virtual neurology
Oh, fantastic.
in the reviews.
Okay.
2001.
Great, great, great.
I was,
And remember you talking in the Pune IonCon in 2011, where we had to make the room Wi-Fi room for you. I remember, still remember that 10 years back. This was for the first time that we made the room.
yeah.
And you spoke in that room about how the neurology will be in future.
And now you cannot live without Wi-Fi.
True, true, true. So
The
you are the
whole
one who
world.
really told us that it should be Wi-Fi. You know, first time we saw that. Not in IonCon. I saw it. Not in AN. I saw it for the first time in IonCon in Pune when you specifically asked us to make that room as the Wi-Fi room. I still remember that, and it took us a hell lot of effort that time to make it as a Wi-Fi room. 10 years back.
The cyber glove, which I've written on 2001,
Yeah.
the cyber glove, where you attach it, which has got a USB, you attach, and the other end, the resident will attach and palpate the abdomen of the patient. You will feel the same. Whatever he feels, you will feel the same. Everything is transmitted through you. So this I wrote 2001, and now every tele ICU has a cyber glove. So I was so happy. At least we were, whatever I dreamt is the VRML environment. In fact, we demonstrated the desktop immersion on VRML for headache. I demonstrated in Chennai in one of the meetings, immersed a patient with acute migraine on a pleasurable environment and said that pleasure and pain competes with the same pathway, and showed him he got relieved. So it's all going to be future, man. You know, it's nice to.
Please comment what will happen by 2040. We will start preparing ourselves for that.
Yeah, sure. I'll make one presentation. I'm looking forward to Dr. Benny's presentation because that's what all.
Hi, Lakshmi. Lakshmi,
Hi,
good morning.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Nice to see you. You are before time.
Yes, sir. Today I am before time, sir, because in fact, this talk it is dedicated to you, sir.
Because I have always attended these talks of yours. You know. No, it is nice to see you. You are the original gadget person. Original.
Sir, that's what I was sharing with Rahul. That 2001 I wrote on virtual neurology, which is it's a dream come true today. 2001, I will send you the chapter which I wrote. Everything has come true now. Today,
and you are the person who introduced us to Aunt Minnie. And to all those modules of American neurology, self-learning and all.
Sir, how is things in Hyderabad, sir? Settling?
No, not settling at all. How is yours at Chennai?
In Chennai, the one transformation which I am seeing is the proportion of cases requiring a HNS4 has become more. The virus has changed its. If you really look at it, March and April, the death was only 5-10 per day, sir. Today, the mortality is 20-30 per day in our hospital. I really don't understand, sir. Because, in fact, the protocol has become far more stronger. The interventions have become far more stronger, but the mortality is increasing.
No, our residents are affected. Are your residents out of our 5 residents, 3 are affected?
Sir, for me, we are among the 40, 17 are affected.
Yeah, see?
But luckily, by touchwood, all had mild illness except only one boy who started desaturating, and he has to be on a remdesivir and steroids, and he also came out.
Rahul, good morning.
Morning, sir. Good morning. Good to see you again.
Yeah.
Practically every day now.
Yes.
I know. I think
That's
time
true.
is done. We'll start.
So do we start?
Rahul?
Yeah. I think we should start at sharp 10. And sharp 10, yes.
10. Yes, Lakshmi sir. Tell me.
Yeah, we can start. You are the chairperson to start.
So Mansi, I think you can ask participant to join.
Okay, I'll do that, sir.
Good morning to everyone.
We are
Hi,
now,
Ashish.
audible and visible to all attendees.
Give a couple of minutes before everyone joins.
So my talk is very basic, Dr. Lakshmi. So let's.
No
I
problem.
am waiting for your talk.
I don't know. So I just see. I'm looking for what are the gadgets because you remember we did one in the
The
2020
IN.
Neurology in 2010 IN,
Yeah,
and I think
Kolkata.
we'll do one more 2030. We'll do one
Yeah,
2030
yeah,
Neurology.
yes,
We'll do one.
absolutely.
So at least 10 years should get.
Kolkata, we did the epilepsy, gadgets in epilepsy.
So good morning, everyone. Welcome all. This is the last talk of this Office Neurology series that we are running. And indeed, it was a very nice series, well attended. We had done it over last 3 months, and this is going to be the last session of the day today. We are having different talks today. We are going away from the traditional neurology towards modern OPDs, and it was indeed an idea of Dr. Subhash Kaul to have these two topics in the meeting. So we are going to have two gentlemen who are going to talk about the gadgets and how to stay updated. Indeed, both of them are very well-known, reputed persons who are really updated ahead of times. We all have heard both of them in this series as well as outside. So there's no point introducing both of them. Rajesh Beni, who is a neurologist from Bombay, who is going to talk about gadgets in OPD. And of course, Dr. Lakshmi, who is a well-known neurologist from Chennai, expert in this. He's going to talk about how to stay updated. So I think I'll hand it over to Rajesh. Rajesh, you can start. Gadgets.
Yeah, I'll start sharing. Mansi, you'll have to stop your screen sharing.
Yes, I'll do that, sir.
Can you see it?
Yes.
All right. Good morning, friends. At the outset, I'll first like to thank FINE, especially Dr. Rahul and Dr. Kaul for having this wonderful office neurology course. And like Rahul said, this is offbeat, and we'll be talking about some use of tech and gadgets in OPD. These are my life support, which you see in the background picture. So we first start with a disclaimer. I like to pronounce that I am a practicing neurologist and I'm not a technology geek like Dr. Narsimhan, who will be coming after me. I am not earning any remuneration from this talk. I am also not going to get a share from the increase in sales of the devices after this talk. And all the devices and technology that I'm showing here have not all been tested by me. So before I started the talk, before this event was planned, it was supposed to be a physical meeting where we were not talking about COVID-19. However, we know that the unprecedented changes which COVID-19 has brought into our lives is nothing short of an apocalyptic Hollywood movie. It is now leading us straight to a future which is really out of sci-fi imagination. So gone are those days when we would take a detailed history, chat with our patients, pat their backs and tell them that all's fine. And now we are seeing the advent of contactless practice. Digital healthcare and telehealth services, which were already there, but they have now come to the forefront, to the mainstream from an abyss. Even the Indian government has lent a statutory backing to the telemedicine to be used for diagnosis and consultation. Telehealth is here to stay even after the pandemic, and it would be wise for all of us to get used to this. Even if one says that he is technologically naive, he should be aware of the gadgets that he can use in the OPD. Digitalization of the medical facilities will increase big time. The hopeful scenario will be people will walk into a clinic, talk to a robot who will take their complaints, which will then get loaded to the doctor's database, and then a paperless prescription will be given, and all this will form a contactless treatment. We would also witness the increased use of artificial intelligence-based digital monitoring and treatment system in the hospital. We are already seeing more and more of robotics use in surgery. Also, to make us future ready, we would have to improve our disease prediction and disease prevention measures by integrating artificial intelligence and big data analysis. We saw that this pandemic caught the whole world napping. And there was a startup in Canada which used predictive analysis. And they could actually predict almost 2 weeks prior to the WHO announced that there is going to be a big pandemic of an atypical pneumonia, because they studied that there was a cluster of cases which were happening in Wuhan, which was different from the usual pneumonia. So big data analysis is going to big way in us trying to prevent this pandemics in the future. So why do we need gadgets and tech in the OPD? A seasoned neurologist will ask. He will say that I rely on my astute history taking, I rely on my clinical examination, and I can achieve a diagnosis in most of these patients. So why do I need this? We need this because we want to keep our contact as less as possible with the patients. We need to reduce the time we spend with our patients. Most of us are getting old, and we know older we are, more we are going to be hit with the pandemic. It's going to be more bad for us. So we need to spend less time with our patients. And at the same time, we want to keep all data. We want to give patient prescriptions like what we used to do. But hopefully we should upgrade ourselves so that we can start using cloud-based databases so that we can access this data anywhere. So it doesn't mean that you have to be clinic everywhere to access it, and you should be able to share it with other healthcare providers, even if they need access to it. And the mobile device, which is ubiquitously present everywhere, should be used for better patient care. Now, this is one of the earlier days of the pandemic. This is my friend, Dr. Manoj, and most of us are now in this gear. We have a shield, we have an N95 mask, and we know how difficult it is to take a history taking on this. You keep speaking loudly, you can hear your own voice, the patient hears nothing. And some of us have found out this method. So Manoj has a portable headphone, a microphone, which is connected to the mask, and it makes him speaking easy, and so that you don't expend much energy in shouting and making the patient understand these things. But when you come to history taking, if suppose if there is an app which will help you to take an history, that would make things much more easier. So my app is based on the Windows platform. It is being developed by Bhavesh and Mansi, the ones who have been who have actually run the whole show behind us, the whole fine Office Neurology course seamlessly. They have been developing my app, which I use on my Surface Pro, which is a Windows-based device using my Surface compatible digital pen. My data entry starts right as soon as the patient enters the clinic, and I either have a clinical assistant or a trained receptionist who would enter basic history like chief complaints, duration, investigations, and mind you, these are all tick boxes. So the moment they touch, it takes them to a next set of questions. Now we also have a network attached storage device. So that forms a cloud inside the clinic. So whatever data the receptionist enters, it is already there on my tablet even before the patient is seated before me. And what this does is it helps me limit the number of questions I have to ask the patient, and I can go on to a focused examination and decrease the time of contact with the patient. You actually will need to put in some effort before you decide how you want the flow of your app. So example, if you decide that the patient says that it is headaches as his main complaint, and the moment he says headaches, the set of questions will be different as compared to when he says that he suffered a stroke. And all this you'll have to think and plan in advance so that it becomes seamless. Such an app has various benefits. One, it is custom made for you, so you know what questions to ask. The data gets stored in your own cloud, which is not accessible to others. You can retrieve by name, by complaint, and by diagnosis, which is a huge resource, especially if you're trying to write up a paper later on about, say, 100 patients of Parkinson's disease, or say 50 patients who presented with bilateral leg tingling. So all this is very easy to retrieve. You can access this data anywhere, and at the same time, give the patient a neat digital summary, which can go as a soft copy in his phone, or you can give it as a printout. But this is not the only way by which you can take contactless history. And I have found Google Forms very, very useful. And this I started mastering during the pandemic because I needed to collect data on COVID and neurology. It takes some effort to learn how to make the form, but once you learn it, you can actually make forms for individual complaints. And you can have your preset questions and where to take the patient, how many headaches, what frequency of headaches. And this link can be given to the patient even before he walks into your clinic. So you can ask him on the phone, what is your main complaint, and send him a link. Yes, there will be a lot of scope for titration of the data when he comes to your clinic, but you will have his responses even before he walks into your clinic. So this is going to be useful using Google Forms, which is freely available, and some time and effort, you should be able to master it. There are other ways by which you can take contactless history taking. Some of us use phone recorders so that we don't miss anything which the patient tells us, because it's difficult to hear them also on the masks which they're wearing. And one software which I found very useful is this speech to text converting software. The most popular one is the Dragon software. Now, Dragon is very popular. It is the master of speech to text software. And what is important is it recognizes Indian English. There is also a software available for mobile use. So your mobile can become your speech to text instrument. And there is one where there is a specially made Dragon software for medical use. And here you can integrate this with UpToDate also. So you can give a voice command and it will give you the text based upon whatever query you ask. But the one device I wish to have is actually the Google Glass with the medical software for transcription. What is Google Glass? So Google Glass is a wearable device, which is like a spectacle with a camera in front. And it works through bone conduction. It has got a inbuilt chip in by itself. It's get connected to your Wi-Fi. And I will show you a brief video of the use of Google Glass in the general use, and then we will see what we can use it in our medical practice.
Okay, Glass, record a video.
This is it. We're on in 2 minutes.
Okay, Glass, hang out with the Flying Club.
Google photos of tiger heads.
You ready? You ready?
Right there. Okay, Glass, take a picture.
That is awesome.
Okay, Glass, record a video.
After this bridge, first exit.
So using the Google Glass, sharing videos is seamless, and you can record the way he's speaking to you. You can keep a record handy with you. So what happens is this Google Glass gives you data. Suppose if this data was available to you, this patient had come to you before in your clinic and it is already there in the cloud. So you can give a command to Google Glass, and Google Glass will display all the data, which will be there in front of your eyes in a blind spot, like a HUD, a heads-up display. And you can see all his data, you can scroll through his data, and then again go back to your examination. So this has been validated in studies. Even Medscape talks about electronic record keeping with the Google Glass and helpers. But that's not the only use of Google Glass. So suppose if there is a PACS system which is connected to your Wi-Fi, and if an MRI is being done, that MRI can be directly projected to your Google Glass. So one, you can view it directly without others seeing it. And if you want it to be displayed on a larger screen, this Google Glass can actually show it on a TV or any other monitor, and you can control it by your voice command. So Google Glass, the options are limitless. The problem is this device is still not available in India. It is not a very expensive device. It is available for about $1,100 US. But the problem is there is no local support in India. But Google Glass is a high-tech device which would be very useful for us in our current scenario. So let's come to the next aspect when we start examining our patients. And when we talk about examination, we are basically talking about taking good clinical photos, interesting finding, or something for documentation. And here, if you have a smartphone with a good image stabilizer and an adequate optical zoom, it would be best to take clinical photos. You have to remember some basic principles. The phone has to be held steady. It has to be parallel to the area of interest. It should be under as much natural light as possible. But you have to remember that you take a consent of the patient and also explain to him that the importance of this photo so that there are no other issues later on. I have found that using a phone directly is not so good when you try to take up a video or a photo where you need to be very still. And that's the reason why I use a gimbal for better control and image stabilization. So what's a gimbal? So now gimbal is a technology which has been used in various devices. It is used in ships, it is used in planes. So what a gimbal means is it's actually a pivoted support which enables the object to remain in one axis only. So suppose if you take three different gimbals and interlock them one above the other, and suppose if you connect the device of interest to the innermost gimbal. So if you look at this vertical pole and the horizontal disc, whatever way the other two gimbals are moving, the innermost gimbal remains very steady. So this is the basis how a gyroscope is used, a ship compass is used, because in the ship is constantly rocking, but the compass is rock steady because it is mounted on a gimbal. So you can mount your mobile phone also on a gimbal. So this is the gimbal handheld device. And this is what I have in my clinic. It's very easily available on Amazon. And what it helps you do is the moment, even if you have essential tremors, even if you have Parkinsonian tremors, even if you are shaky and nervous, the image doesn't move because of the gimbal technology. And this helps you to take photographs remotely by buttons on the gimbal device itself. So this I found very invaluable in my OPD during these times of the corona pandemic. The other thing what we want to take is fundus photos. And we have been relying on the ophthalmologist for that. And now we want to be as far off from the patient as possible. Obviously, you can do it with a 20 diopter lens, which you keep it close to the patient's eye. You focus your mobile as far as possible, and then go to the best image of the fundus and then take a photograph. However, I like this device, which has been devised by Dr. Ashish Sharma from Coimbatore. He's an ophthalmologist, and it's called the Mi Retcam, and it's available for about 20 to 25,000 bucks. So just look at this video how he does that.
What you need to do is, for example, you are a dominant right hand user. So right hand, you need to hold the 20 diopter lens like this, between the thumb and your index finger, so that you have three fingers to support, to take the support from the patient's cheek or the forehead, and the other click the image. So now I will request my sister to open this lid. Now the similar manner, you just support these three fingers on the patient's chin, go down again, and just keep coming up. And now I'm so stable. Now you can visualize now you can see I'm very, very stable because my fingers are giving.
So this is an amazing way to take fundus photographs, and obviously you are far away from the patient. You can see all the aspect of the retina, fundus, the fovea. So after this,
Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt. If your videos are done, can we go back to the non-optimizing of videos?
So I stop share and again start?
Yes, sir. So you'll have to uncheck because your slides have become blurred now.
Okay. Is it okay now?
Yes, thank you. So, and sorry for the interruption.
No problem. So, yeah. So now most of us, after we finish history and examination, we start writing our prescriptions, and God knows why. As age evolves, as we become more experienced, the dirtier our handwriting becomes. And obviously we feel that we are very legible, but this makes understanding our prescriptions very difficult. So this is especially true in the digital era, where even in those who have those old style writing, they want to write their own prescriptions. You have these devices by which you can capture your written notes using a special pen on a special paper. And this gets attached to a mobile device or a tablet or your laptop, and it can be instantly converted to a text, which is a digital text. So your handwriting negates. At the same time, you have the pleasure of saving your handwriting on the phone. There are various devices like the LiveScribe 3 Smart Pen or the Neo Smart Pen N2. The problem is these devices are costly. They will need a special dotted paper, and they will need a special pen to write on. So in India, we have a special modification. This is the Wonder RX, which I have tried for some time. A few of my friends are using it. It uses a LiveScribe pen on your own prescription pad, but they will put special dotted papers. The problem with WonderX is that you can't retrieve patient data based on diagnosis. You can take it out on name, but with diagnosis, you can't search them. And another important thing is, if you want in your prescription itself, you can integrate some pre-recorded videos. So this is my friend's prescription where he has made videos for Parkinson's, epilepsy, vertigo, etc. And if you just put the pen on that, the patient will get a video of Parkinson's, which you have made for him. So this is so wonderful, especially if you want to show him an Epley's technique and you have already recorded, you just touch the prescription and it will go back to his mobile phone. During the time before I started using the app, I used the Surface Pro for converting my handwritten notes to a text. This is the Surface Pro. This is a Windows tablet. It's a tablet which is attached to a keyboard, but the tablet also has a slot for USB. You can connect your output digital source, and it is a Windows-based system. So it is seamless, and you write on it with this digital pen, which gets attached to the tablet itself. So when we start writing, you go to the writing mode, and the moment you start writing, instantly it keeps correcting. It's a wonderful pen to write. This was a device which was introduced to me by Dr. Sudhir Kotari about 3 years back, and I am finding it very, very useful. So if you are having a Surface Pro and a digital pen, your handwritten can become immediately digital notes kept to you for record, and patient gets a legible prescription. How do you store patient data? So the best way to store data, and if you don't want it to leave your clinic, is to use a NAS, a network attached storages. And there are various from Western Digital, from Seagate, various devices available. So what it does is it gets connected to your network. You share a common password among all the devices being used in your clinic, whatever your receptionist is using, whatever your assistant is using, whatever you are using, and whatever changes he will make will reflect immediately in the cloud, which is on this NAS, and that will be reflected on your tablet. And it is seamless. And what it does is it keeps all the data in your clinic. It has got very fast upload and download speeds because there is no third-party server. It is based only in your clinic, and you can access the data anywhere by putting in a password. So there are web-based things also. So this is from Neurology, and it will have a web-based app by which you can access the data anywhere in the world. But there are other cloud-based services like the Google Drive, iCloud, OneDrive, and Dropbox. The advantages are these are far more secure, because obviously these are for commercial use, they're far more secure, but the data transfer and download takes time, because obviously you have to talk to a third party server, and they have a monthly subscription which you will need to pay. Whenever you need to assess patient data or a test which is being done and you are not there, you would like to remotely view that thing. And the best remote viewer, which I feel works best on your laptop, on your tablet, or on your mobile phone, is the team viewer. So suppose if your technician has gone to an ICU and is recording an EEG, and you want to see the EEG real time, you just need to have a team viewer in that laptop. He's got a dongle with a Wi-Fi. He starts streaming it through the team viewer, and you can actually see the EEG live. And suppose if there is a seizure which is occurring, you can ask the technician to move the camera to the patient. You can see how the patient is looking at that time. You can ask the sister to give a injection, Lopez or Amidazolam, and then immediately see the response to EEG. So all this is happening real time, and this is invaluable in these times of corona pandemic. This is what we are using to examine our patients who are in the COVID ICU, and we don't want to repeatedly go inside the ICU. Packs can come on the phone also, and you can actually be sitting in the comfort of your home or clinic, and yet you can see the MRI and CT images, and this will help you guide your resident or associate. So you don't need to be dependent on the radiologist report. You would like to see the images yourself. So there are various DICOM viewers. So I have made my system in the hospital an Apple-based system. So I have a dedicated viewing system on my iPad and an iPhone. I use the Osirix. However, even in those with Android devices, there are various DICOM viewers. So this is a small clip of my colleague, Dr. Venkatesh, trying to look at the packs real time on a mobile data. Just see how quick it comes up. So you need to be connected to the database, but this is on a mobile device using mobile network, not even a fast uploading Wi-Fi. Images are good. And it gives you various modalities. In fact, it can exactly look like the monitor which you look at as if you're in the radiology console. Yeah, so he's gone to the desktop site. He can choose various images. He can put a grid and choose how many images he wants to see, exactly like what you would do on a radiology console. So PACS on the phone is a revolutionary thing. And if you have a device by which you are connected to your hospital, it makes life far more easier. So this is an invaluable device which you can have in your OPD. So when we come to the last two slides, so when we come to investigations, the one investigation which we do very routinely in our OPD as an extended part of our history and examination is EEG. So the traditional EEG that we do is usually using wet electrodes. What do we mean by that is we use conductive gels because we want to lower the impedance or resistance to less than 10 kilo ohms, because without that we'll get a lot of artifacts on the EEG. But this means that you need a trained technician. The technician needs to spend more time with the patient to clean the skin, to clean him after the recording, and all these are taboo in this present pandemic. So enter dry EEG systems. What do these do? They use gold or silver plated electrodes, which tends to circumvent all the above issues, and they are best suited for home use or prolonged monitoring. These developments of dry EEG systems were not based on clinical needs. So they have not been made by clinical neurologists for clinical use, but they've been made by actually researchers who are looking at brain-computer interface. And now we have started using it for our EEG systems. The problem is the number of electrodes which are there in most of the devices are usually less than the 21 electrodes that we have in the 1020 system. So there has been studies to look at the resting EEGs of those with the dry EEG system and the wet EEG system, and they have found that there is almost 98 to 99% concordance between the dry and wet EEGs. The problems start arising when you have a patient who's been wearing it for a long period of time, if he's not wearing it properly, but the learning curve is very small and you don't need a technician. And the best device which can look at dry EEG is a device called Emotive. Yeah, this looks like a device like the one which Magneto wears in X-Men, where he controls people's thoughts. So this is exactly the same device. So it is like a headgear which has got these big knobs, and they are those 14 electrodes by which you can measure the EEG. There are devices where you can, with Emotive, where you can have a 32 electrode grid also. The cost is very less. It is about $800 US, and for the 32 electrode, it is about $1,000. The problem is again the technical support. However, I have ordered one of the 14 electrode for me just a month back. Probably it will get shipped, and they have amazing things which we can do with the Emotive, and the EEG patterns look fairly good as what we would do with a wet EEG. So this is the 14 channel EEG. What it does, it has got a wireless connectivity with all your PC and mobile devices. So whatever the patient is recording as an EEG, you can be in your cabin. You can actually be seeing the EEG live, and it is rechargeable. So it can be used for portable thing. And it actually has got a small gimbal inside. So even if the patient is moving the head, the artifacts are negated because it has got 9-axis motion sensors, which detects the head movements and reduces the artifacts. So how good can it get? With this, I end my presentation, and this is where we are in 2020, and this logo finally says it all. I thank you all for a patient listening.
Thanks, Rajesh. Again, wonderful presentation as usual. You cover many things which probably many of us are not knowing, and hopefully these things will become part of the new normal that we are going to have probably in this pandemic. So let's start with the other presentation from Dr. Lakshmi. We all know Dr. Lakshmi. He is well known for these kind of talks, and he told me that he has given similar talk about 20 years back, and whatever he says comes, it's like true. So we hope that what Dr. Lakshmi tells us may remain like this for a long period, and he's going to tell us how the neurology will perform in 2040 also. So over to you, Dr. Lakshmi. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rahul. I'm sharing my screen. Is it visible? Is it visible?
Yes, it is visible. We can see you. Yeah.
And before in cricket, there'll be players who was very gracefully keep scoring runs even before they start their innings. About 15 minutes they'll be 20, 25, 30. Rajesh Benny is one talk where he looked as if very simple, but he covered so many beautiful things. Hats off to you, Rajesh. It's a wonderful talk, and I really learned quite a lot from your talk. And moving on to my talk, this was requested by me by Professor Subhash Kaul. My hearty thanks to Rahul and Subhash and the fine organizers for giving me this. And in neurology, you have the three cardinal questions. Is there a lesion? Where is the lesion? What is the lesion? And I extrapolate the same thing. Is there a need to update? What should I update? Where should I update? Let me tell you at the outset, in this era of information diarrhea, the infodemic producing panic, I am really skeptical about whether is there a need to update. But definitely there is a need. You know why? You must all have heard of this famous story, Brain on Fire by Susanna, who was diagnosed with the NMDA. At that time, it was about 2007, she was diagnosed and she wrote this book. And today, the autoimmune encephalitis with so many different varieties, you have to update yourself, otherwise you'll be nowhere. So there is no doubt that you should update yourself. And neurology is in a state of constant flux. There are so many things which keeps changing, definitions, diagnosis, criteria, management, everything is gone. Even you would have understood, even in COVID, you really need to update yourself daily on a daily basis because the disease is evolving, the treatment is evolving, the protocols are evolving, protocols are so dynamic that, and not only that, even the lockdowns are evolving. So you have to be updated every day. So, for example, seizure type classification change from partial to focal, generalized the seizures, the dyscognitive and simple partial, all these things have become outdated. So, when I was a student, then where should I update? In those days, then there nothing was there. In the 80s and 90s, the word from the mouths of our professors were the update because they only very limited people had access to journals and the pearls they utter from their while on rounds, the library, journals, and the conferences if you are lucky and if the department permits. So this is how the updates were there. But let me tell you, the update, there are two kinds of updates. One is a live update, another is a live update. Live update is a live person telling you something, and which has got, I would say that it has got more. It's more important because it is not mere fact; it is a fact mixed with entire wisdom of the individual. So I always prefer a live update rather than a live update, which is merely a fact. Let me show you one thing. Professor K. Srinivasan. You can see this letter I received from him last week. He sends this his own handwritten notes of whatever articles he studies with his comments every week for the past 30 years. I was his student. I receive it. He will send it. Next day, you will receive a phone call from him. Have you read it? And the next Sunday, you can be sure that at some point of time, he will call his students to discuss of what he said. Can you see the amount of commitment? And this drives you definitely to update yourself because every single word is important of what he has written. Second kind, the personal touch. Professor A.V. Srinivasan gets an A in subscription, brings the syllabus on demand. As a student, we never had money to buy all these things. Every year he gives, and the personal touch with which he used to update us is remarkable. The third kind of updates is innovative updates. Professor Subhash Kaul. Can you imagine he had put a talk on the horoscope of stroke? The horoscope, he put the regular horoscope rectangles, Rahu, Ketu and all. And the next slide, he had put diabetes, hypertension, hyperlipidemia and all. He said if these two combine together, what is the cumulative risk? If this, and he had put another slides for the risk factors, another horoscope for risk factors of hemorrhagic stroke. You'll never forget. Imagine a dry topic like the risk factors in stroke, purely by innovative teacher whom I admire, respect, and adore, has could make such a dry topic and update me on that topic far more effectively than merely presenting the various facts. So I always the moral of the story is I prefer a live update rather than a live update. And update from professors, gold standard, facts, admixed wisdom of experience, best fast checker, peer validation possible for any publication. No current source of knowledge can compare to the efficacy of this mode of updation. In the current scenario, there are two things: in-person conferences and CMEs, virtual. Multiple resources are there in virtual. I don't know how much are authentic, how much is non-authentic. Where do you really search? God alone knows. But what I use is up-to-date, Medscape, clinical key, various journals, online webinars, online podcasts, society guidelines. Up-to-date. It's a very commonly used popular resource, all of you know. Contain expert views on most topics, concise recommendations on treatment. The disadvantage is the process of literature search for the reviews are not clear. You don't know how. And secondly, the reviews do not include systematic reviews of literature. You could see the reviews at the bottom, what are the references, and the expert opinions are added in the patient care, and this is quite up to date. But the what are the journals, what is the quality, is there a peer review? You don't know. So anyhow, one of the best resource for keeping is up to date. And second is Medscape, completely free to use. Remote access is available. Clinical reference for a wide range of conditions. I personally recommend you for a drug compatibility checker. This is the best. You, when before writing a prescription, you want to know whether the compatibility of a couple of drugs, or somebody has written, cardiologist has written 3-4 drugs, and you want to prescribe, you want to check the compatibility, you want to check the QT, whether it be additive or not. Just put the names, and then whatever prescription which you are planning, add each drug, check the compatibility, and then put before penning down your prescription. I found it very useful. I always keep it on my desktop. Clinical key. This is a clinical insight engine. What they have done is they have about 600 journals, 1,000 books published by Elsevier. Search engines use smart content tags. Very good, rapid and simple. You can do any queries on any clinical topic. It gives you, it searches and gives you so many things. If you want an algorithm for that also, they have created. But very, it takes, for any database, the database becomes more and more powerful as it becomes more and more old. So as our teachers, as the teacher becomes older and older, his value becomes more and more because his data is far more refined, and all the arborizing networks, these neural networks have become sharpened, and they have undergone lot of auto correction. So I always still again want to insist to all the youngsters, a word of wisdom from your professor is worth thousands of articles which you download. Then the webcast, currently widespread, one of the topmost is the Neurology, now available in the wide spectrum of topics. The curated series of webcasts, Neurology, MDS has got on-demand lectures, as you know, Fine, which is beautiful, enables learning in a didactic format at our own pace. And the disadvantage is it may not be comprehensive due to time limits. And the podcast, I don't know. Once in fact, this podcast you can use this very effectively during your travel. The AI podcast, each one about 30, about 40 to varies somewhere between 40 to 90 minutes. So one travel from conference, you can download one podcast and finish it before you land on the other airport when you go for this. That's what Professor Arjun Das used to do. He always downloads a few AI podcasts He also, once he advised me, he gave me on the flight also. It's a pretty easy way to learn. Neurology Minute, Functional Neurology, MDS podcast, brain waves. The disadvantage is not a comprehensive, but it's fairly good to update yourself. NeuroLearn, NeuroBytes, and the American Academy of Neurology are spending quite a lot of efforts in keeping different kinds of updates. Then comes to the various society guidelines. They provide standard of care for the diagnosis and management of neurological disorders, evidence-based, with consensus of expert recommendations updated at regular intervals. The disadvantage is it may be outdated if the interval of the updates becomes too longer. If an IA leaves one consensus criteria, and not on that, there are too many the guidelines are there. ILA has one guideline, the European Epilepsy Society, American Academy of American AES Society has different guidelines, and again, it's not as you have to take the best out of everything. So, to quote a few, the AHA guidelines, the ESC guidelines, the commonly used ILA guidelines, and the ANIM, which is the neuromuscular and the. So these are all very standard guidelines which we use routinely. And the journals, the latest research and reviews, they are peer reviewed and ratified. Always good go for high impact journal. Higher quality of the outcome, higher number of citations. The citation index will give you an idea. A disadvantage is a lot of predatory journal publications with a poor peer review process. Cost of access unless the cost of access of these journals unless available. There are, you know, that there are a lot of, I do not want to name a few. There are a lot of Russian websites where even the current issue paid article, you can get it across in no minute. So same as any book. So this is again a parallelly run electronic theft. I would say it's a form of cyber theft, cyber intellectual thefts, where the data even before the book is released on print, and you can see that it is available online for download. So the cost of access unless institution. Most important things here I just want to know is the RSS feeds. You subscribe for the journal's RSS feeds. They will send you whatever articles which is coming up. You can choose from them. If you don't have time for going through each journal, there are lot of digital libraries where which throw up interesting articles. For example, QXMD, or the Quora. A lot of the digital libraries are there, which once you subscribe to the area of your interest, they send you a full text article and the link whichever subspecialty which you are interested. So always, you don't have time, you don't have access, work around by using the RSS feeds and sign up for newsletters. Today, I was surprised is most of the top journals, including Nature, has got a daily briefing. Nature briefing, you must have seen. If you those who have not seen, you can subscribe to Nature briefing today. You'll see they update yourself across all journals of Nature. Nature reviews of immunology, Nature reviews of neurology, Nature primer, Nature, all things. And the group of editors choose the top picks and then update you every day, night 11:30 Indian Standard Time. You get the Nature briefing. You can go through it. Takes about 5-7 minutes. It updates you, and then you can go to your bed. So daily briefing of the various journal groups have become a big hit during this COVID pandemic phase. And the high impact Lancet, Brain, Nature Reviews, JAMA, JNNP, Acta Pathologica, Annals of Neurology, and among the Neurology India and Annals of Indian Academy of Neurology both. Very good. And if you're too busy to go through all the journals, what you can do is you can at least the editor's choice, you can read the editor's choice, which only once you subscribe for the editor's choice in any of these articles, that article comes to you for free. And you can always read that. And most of the journals also, they choose journal of the article of the month or article of the issue and send it to you. You can subscribe so that you can Those articles, if they choose and send it to you, are very good articles. And coming to blogs, newsletters, the workaround if the journal access is not available, give regular updates. There are a lot of the younger generation have got lot of blog groups where interesting questions are posted. Even the AI and neurology blogs, you will see, you will learn quite a lot of things. The neurology times, neurology advisors, the brain waves, and the uh, the brain bloggers, the lot of good things are there. They also have short summaries on latest advances and easy to access. There are a few blogs which are, they call it as 1 minute neurology, where each day you just read, they give about a couple of most important conclusion sentences from journals called 1 minute neurology. These are all you can update very fast pace. You want a rapid update, you can use all that. And conferences. Breaking research is usually presented at conferences before being published. Recent updates and reviews on multiple topics are presented. You can have a one-to-one interaction with the experts and interact, which we are all missing all these times. Expert viewpoints and discussions on controversies are discussed. Disadvantages is time consuming and need to choose sessions wisely. Now, the virtual conferences have almost started replacing. I saw recently attended one of the conferences where the moment you register for the conference, you are given a QR scan code. You go to the counter, you go to the counter, and the counter you show the QR scan, they scan and then let you inside. You can choose your seat in the conference venue. If you want to choose an avatar, they give you an avatar where your portrait is attached onto this, so that when you move that, it will look as if you are moving inside the conference. The doors open and you can choose your seat and sit. And you can, there is already, they also given, if you want to interact with somebody, you can invite them for interaction. All these facilities are there. Even the lunch, you'll be surprised, the conferences have tied up with most of these providers. You sit at home, your lunch is provided by the sponsors into your house. So the virtual conferences have also become. See, the international conferences, most of you are aware, I don't want to, but all these conferences are fairly good. Now, most of them have given the update, but even the last 2020 AN, for every member, it is the entire content, including the plenary sessions, the syllabus, everything is available free of cost now. So same as European Congress of Neurology, the entire, even the live sessions were there, and now all the sessions are available offline for free of cost. Even you will be surprised that even the September 2015, the MDS is offering a free access. So the subspecialties are growing, movement disorders, and the MDS Virtual Congress, neurological disorders and stroke. Every conference is now they are allowed. Headache has its own conference, epilepsy has its own conference, MS, back trims. These are all few international ones. Among the uh, few of the Indian ones, if you look at, you know that INCON, Indian Stroke Association, NSI, ICTRIMS, Women Disorder Society of India, and all. So specific updates, all of us are familiar with the neurology updates by Professor Deem Singhal and the neuro updates by Professor G. Arjun Das, Professor VN, and Professor C. Velmurugendran. These are all few of the updates, and not the least the updates which Sudhir Gotari and Roop Gursahani have done during this pandemic is really they deserve a very big hand from the entire neurology community, because they kept us engaged academically throughout the pandemic. My hearty salutes them, to both of them, for organizing such a beautiful thing. And the Kerala, they have the Monsoon Summit. And for the postgraduates, we normally conduct the Shine 2020 with all the stalwarts in the country. Thank you. Keep calm and update yourself and run away from the panic. I close my session and stop sharing and ready to take some questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakshmi. I think that was really wonderful lecture, and I think I have heard your lectures before 10 years when you have been talking, on these subjects, and so you probably had an idea at that time only that this future is going to be like that. But I think it's amazing. I think this COVID thing is going to change everything, and now we need not even travel such far and wide because everything we can get in our home. So, Roop, can you please take over?
Yeah, but Subhash, I don't know how will I have a drink with you if I...
You can hold the glass in your hand and pay for it yourself. You pay for me and I pay for you.
Not as much fun. Lakshmi, I missed the initial part. Did you speak about up to date?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, my mistake.
That was the first one that he talked about, and according to Lakshmi, up to date is sometimes the only resource that you may need. You may not need other resources.
I agree.
Totally agree.
I pay for it. I mean, it's worth paying for.
Yeah, definitely.
Sir, but I still tell, my last word is the life update by seniors which mixed with wisdom is far more important than the live updates which you get, which merely facts. All these facts carry you nothing, and you will understand one word of wisdom from either Professor Subhash Kaul or any of the senior persons is worth more. That's why I tell the residents during the rounds, the pearls will come only once in a while. But that is worth your entire 2 hours of the rounds. You may get 3-4 pearls. You have to collect. You have to patiently wait and collect the pearls. That will be useful for your life. I still hold that.
But Lakshmi, Lakshmi, let me share something. There are some people who are silent now, but they have been in this knowledge business since long. And one of them is Sudhir Kothari. He's very modest. He'll not even talk about it. But, he's one of the first persons who has used laptop in this country. Can you believe it? And that was, I think, 25 years ago. And Shirish Hasnak told me he's a geek. He knows everything about technology. And today he's so silent. But he's a leader.
No, Subhash. See, I actually, that was not a webinar, almost, I think, maybe 35 years ago, I held a course in a hotel for teaching doctors how to use the internet. That was the first time internet came out, and that people paid $500 and we made a brochure and we had, some 300-400 people, doctors attending. And that time, you can't believe it. The internet was so slow, it was so ridiculous. But yet, I mean,
dial-up. Sir, when we started our live, it was dial-up, You remember dial-up? Yes, you have to do a dial-up number, and the sound has to go and
that modem.
The moment it goes in, that unique sound gives you orgasm. Gives you an orgasm.
At that time, internet was so expensive. I learned how to hack into other people's account, and I used other people's accounts. So,
and I remember in one of the Shine meetings, Lakshmi, I think it was Sudhir had also come there, and I know during that lunch time it is very crowded, and there are a lot of students, and we were having lunch, and I told Sudhir, "Are you staying?" He says, "No, I have to go." I said, "Why?" He told me, and this is at least 15 years, 10 to 15. He said, "I have to attend a webinar." I had not even heard that word webinar at that time, and he was giving webinars, attending webinars at least more than 10 years ago. So that is one. The other person I know is Professor Jay Kumar from Madurai, who also has been, so there have been people who have been on the front line of technology much before, since last 5-10 years, and then came you, who have been,
Sir Mohan Lassi in Cochin. He is the man who ICRTC, the entire website by the Indian
government. He's not much exposed. He needs to give talks so that we know him. And the latest kid on the block is our own Rajesh Benny. He's going to beat everybody.
Yeah.
And one of the things which I'm very happy, Lakshmi said it today. He said it today. I thought that was my innovation, but that was not correct. Lakshmi said it today. That I thought sometime back that you have to now read neurology like a newspaper. You don't want to read. You don't want to read yesterday's newspaper. It has zero value. You want to read today morning's newspaper. And neurology has become like that. And that's what you said. That every day evening there is a update on what happened today. And that is how it's going to be. And the good thing about our updating is that it directly affects our patients. It directly affects our patients. Some drugs, some medicine, whether off-label or on-label, it is directly going. So that gives us a motivation. So Sudhir, so I want to thank both the speakers. There are not many questions. I think your talks have been wonderful. I think this series has been extremely wonderful. Thanks to Sudhir and Roop. They are actually the creators of this all. We are just working under their guidance.
So I think you are very modest.
And this office was basically it was a challenge also, and it was a test also, whether a conference can be run on this thing. In the beginning, we were also very skeptical. How will it run and all that thing? But the way it has gone smoothly, it has given us a structure. So it is a successful model.
Very well done.
That we come to an end. We started this office series with pure clinical, how to take history, how to do examination. In between, we had common talks, and finally we ended it very appropriately with the future, with the technology. So thank you very much, all of you, and thank you all the speakers who have been taking part in the last 3 months on this office series. With that, I thank all the attendees also who have attended. But don't go away. There's a quiz also after this. So Sudhir and Roop, please over to you.
What now you are going to end this office series?
It is ending today. No, there will be other topics. Sudhir, you please tell.
Yeah. So now I will. First of all, Subhash is very modest. This whole thing, even when we asked him to do stroke, he just did the stroke course for us without, so smoothly. He had cases, he had this, everything, all the international speakers handling. And he's a very good course director. So he and Rahul, I don't know where is Rahul. So they did this office series completely on their own. And Roop and I have been lying back. I don't know. I'm seeing Roop after a month. वो किधर जाता है क्या मालूम? But anyway, now the good thing is that now we don't have to look at anything. Just it's all going on autopilot. The Tuesday thing, the Thursday thing, everything is going very well.
So don't forget Dr. Ashish, Dr. Shripad and Mansi, who have been running the whole show behind our backs.
Yeah, Dhruv Batra also.
Dhruv also.
People have been doing a great job. And so now next course, we don't know, we are thinking we shall probably do a Slido quiz and ask people offline. I'll send a link to everybody. So what topic do you want next? And let's see. I mean, probably there is a deluge of webinars, so people may not want much, but still, that we can.
Can I come in?
Yes, come.
So there is one that is pending, and that is Dr. Shirish Hastak and Subhash. I think if both of them are ready, why don't we announce it for next Sunday? Subhash?
The music. See, next.
Yeah, I think I will talk to Shirish now. Yeah. And if it's okay, then
next Sunday we can have 2 things. One is Yogeshwari will have a talk on epilepsy, imaging of epilepsy, and the second will be music by this one, Shirish and Subhash. Huh?
Okay. So then that's fine. So next Sunday
I think Yogeshwari will talk from 10 to 11.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then 11 onwards we can take, because we need time.
Okay. Yeah. Nobody will stop you.
What, 11 morning or 11 night?
And, the other thing, we will announce it. We are also going to start this one. Madhusudan is going to have his grand round like things. So we'll have that once on one Sunday, and whether we do neurology infection or whatever.
So Sudhir, so what we will do is in the next week, we will put up a program for the next 3 months. Like office practice was a schedule that went on for 3 months. So we will put up something, a kind of a schedule, so that you know what the direction is and what we are doing. But simultaneously, we will also be putting up some lectures in the Saturday evening slot. And we need to take a call on how to put both of these together. So give us about a week or so to do that.
Infection chal raha hai.
Yeah, uske baad.
No, that infection is going to run for a longer time.
So fine. So
the series 2 is coming, and there are many international participants, and they are enjoying like anything.
Yeah, so
okay. Cool enough.
Senior WFN people are attending every session.
Yeah, hey Chandu, We'll
Yeah.
talk about it.
We'll talk about this. Yeah.
We can do something maybe once in 15 days.
We might space it out.
Yeah. So we will figure this out, and then we will come back to. I mean, we'll give a more comprehensive program.
Okay. The quiz, no?
Yes. Now to the quiz. So, who's running it? Ashish?
Yes, sir. Can I share the screen?
Yeah. Please go ahead. All yours.
Is it visible?
Yeah. Yes.
So good morning, everyone. And again, I would like to thank Fine Forum and all our respected teachers for this opportunity. And the end of the August and the so-called Fine Sunday morning session with this quiz. So this is going to be some common, uncommon, little fun facts, little unusual signs, and we'll start. So please note, Slido code is today's date, 30820. Please log in. You can put your name or remain anonymous, and then we'll start the quiz. So first question, what is this sign or phenomenon? I hope it is visible. The video is visible?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. So option A, myotonia, option B, delayed relaxation of reflex, option C, myoedema, or option D, myxedema. So get ready. The timer has started. There was already a discussion about this sign in man group, so many of you might be knowing. Yes, 53% have opted for the correct answer, that is myoedema. So basically, when you tap the tactile stimulus, under that point, there is a visible, palpable, a non-tender, firm and localized ridge or a mounding. It usually reaches the maximum size in 1 to 2 seconds after the tap, and it gradually subsides to normal in next 5 to 10 seconds. So what happens when we percuss, there is a local calcium ion release, and there is a delayed reuptake by sarcoplasmic reticulum, because of which the muscle contraction remains for the longer time and gives the mounding appearance or the myoedema. So previously, in the era of malnutrition, it was visible due to hypovitaminous and hypoalbuminemia also. So it was considered as non-specific sign. But in current era, it is the pointer for hypothyroid myopathy if the patient has features of proximal muscle weakness and features of hypothyroidism. Next question. In the picture, we can see there is a peculiar posturing. So if the patient is developing anesthesia, paresthesia, and typical posture as shown in the picture, after applying a bandage or after inflating a sphygmomanometer cuff, what is this sign known as? Option A, Troju's sign. Option B, Kashida's sign. Option C, Troisier sign. Option D, none of these. So get ready. The timer has started. So 93% have voted for the correct answer. That is Troju's sign. So Troju described this sign for the tetany, hypocalcemic tetany, when the patient develops anesthesia, paresthesia, and Mende-Akosher or obstetrician's hand, where the thumb goes into adduction. That is the peculiar posturing. By applying a bandage or by inflating a sphygmomanometer cuff. It is usually inflated 10 to 30 millimeters above the systolic blood pressure. And that is when the patient starts feeling this paresthesia and gradually goes into the posturing. It is a sign of latent tetany. Troju also described one more sign, that is venous thrombosis or migrating thrombophlebitis with malignant disease. That is also called as Troju's syndrome. So there are some other signs of tetany. This is from De Jong's 8th edition, 2020. If you see, there is a Poole-Schlesinger sign where there is forceful abduction and elevation of arm will cause tetanic spasm of muscles of forearm, hand, and fingers. The Schultz sign is the protruded tongue when tapped will cause dimpling of the tongue. Kashida thermic is when the patient is exposed to hot or cold environment. There is hyperesthesia and spasms. In Escherick sign, again, it is involving lips and tongue. There will be contraction of lips, masseters, and tongue. In Hostinger sign, it is a kind of variant of Troju sign where there is a pressure on the inner biceps and there will be spasm and contraction of the fingers. In peroneal or the Luskin, near the fibular neck, as the common peroneal winds there, if you tap, there will be dorsiflexion and eversion of foot. This is from De Jong. Next sign, which drug or which drugs of the following can cause xanthopsia? Option A, digoxin. Option B, chlorthalidone. Option C, sulfonamides. And option D, barbiturates. So you can mark multiple options in this. The timer has started. So 84% have opted for digoxin. But if you see, all of these are correct option. So what is xanthopsia? It is excessive perception of yellow color, that is yellow vision. Digoxin, especially in the toxic levels, it causes xanthopsia. Other drugs which were in the option like thiazides, especially chlorthalidone, sulfonamides, and even barbiturates have been mentioned to cause xanthopsia. The drugs like sildenafil can cause blue dyschromatopsia. Now, what is the mechanism? They say that there is a partial form where one color is more affected than the others. The interesting trivia is the Vincent van Gogh, who was a famous artist from 1850 through 1890. They say that he probably suffered from xanthopsia. In later half of his life, most of the paintings had more use of yellow color or yellow palettes. So this is the painting called Sunflowers. And people say that he was a failure during his era and he was a lunatic and he was probably treated with digoxin. In that era, digoxin was used for fever, headache, migraine, and even for mental disorders. So probably he was treated. This is just a theory that this could have been the reason that he was using more yellow color in his paintings. Next, what is true regarding sensory jest or jest antagonist or sensory trick? Option A, it is also called as alleviating maneuver. Option B, even the imagination of sensory trick can decrease dystonic activity. Option C, a sensory trick like stimuli which worsen dystonia, they are called as reverse sensory tricks. And option D, all of these. So the timer has started. Okay, so 88% have opted for all of this, which is the correct answer. So yes, the jest or sensory trick, there are some voluntary movements or some alterations in sensory inputs. They temporarily improve dystonic posture or movement. Please note there can be some partial improvement, and in some of the patients, it can be complete improvement also. In the initial phases of dystonic disease, this phenomenon is common, but as the dystonia worsens in later part of the disease, the sense may not work. And Jankovic et al. Proposed the term alleviating maneuver. They said that it is not always the sensory input, so it need not be a sensory trick. And it is not the magic or the trick or the fake thing, but it is actually the real phenomenon giving the improvement. So it should be called as alleviating maneuver. And what is reverse sensory tricks? So there are some sensory trick-like stimuli that worsen dystonia. There is an article in Movement Disorder Journal. There have been descriptions of people using glasses where they have laces attached to their glasses. So when those laces were touching their cheek, there was worsening of dystonia. Some people are getting worsening of dystonia due to touching of the wall to the back of the head. So these are called as reverse sensory tricks. So next question, what is the name or these neurological hammers mentioned or depicted in option 1 and option 2 in Roman numericals? So the options to be chosen are option A, Taylor and Babinski hammer, B, Babinski and Berliner hammer, option C, Tromner and Babinski hammer, option D, Tromner and Queen square hammer, and option E, Taylor and Queen square hammer. So one is a chrome plated and other one is steel gray color. Please choose the options because the pictures will not be available in the Slido app. Okay, the correct answer is option C, Tromner and Babinski. Most of you have chosen Tromner and Queen square, maybe because of the appearance. So I'll just come to that. So there is a wonderful in 1989 by Lanska et al. That is History of Reflex Hammers. Those who are interested can go through this. So first muscle stress reflexes were described by Erb and Westphal separately in 1875. The knee reflex, it is also called as patellar phenomenon or knee phenomenon, named after Westphal. So knee reflex is also called as Westphal's reflex. And when there is absence of knee reflex, it is called as Westphal's sign. So taking the cue from the respiratory physicians, the percussing chest, the same phenomenon was used to elicit this phenomenon where finger taps and chest percussion hammers were used. But the first hammer, which I think most of us, or maybe my generation neurologists used in their MBBS, it was a triangular rubber hammer around, let's say, half feet long, maybe in the red or the black rubber triangular hammer. So that is called as Taylor's hammer. It was the first reflex hammer designed. And after that, many neurologists or the physicians devised hammers like Cross, Berliner, Tromner, Babinski, and Winton. So the first one is the Taylor hammer. If you see this triangular one, it became so popular that it was incorporated in the AN logo along with the tuning fork. And it was become a symbol because prior to that, it was the stethoscope hanging around the neck was the symbol of physicians. And for the neurologists, then the flaunting the hammer was the trend. And many of the neurologists, you will see their pictures while holding the hammers in their hands. The second one is a Cross hammer, William Cross's hammer. The third one is the Tromner hammer, which I showed in the quiz. And the last one is a Berliner hammer, looking like an axe. So there are many hammers. The interesting stuff is the round hammer, which has a flexible handle, is called as Queen square. This one, if there is a flexible handle and a round rubber circular hammering surface, then that is called as Queen square. But if it is the stiff steel-based handle, it is called as Babinski's hammer. And when it is a flexible tube, it is a Queen square hammer. So interesting thing is, there was a sister in Queen square. She was the head. She was the head of nursing department, radiology and physiotherapy department. And she was doing some experiments. So she was also called as Sister Electrical. So she first devised a bamboo hammer, which had a bamboo handle. So it became a flexible handle and easy to maneuver. So that is how Queen square hammer came into the picture. Next, question 6. Regarding blinking, what is true? Multiple options can be marked. Option A, the blinking rate is decreased in idiopathic Parkinson's disease. Option B, blinking rate is decreased in PSP. Option C, blinking rate is increased in schizophrenia. And option D, normal blink rate is around 12 to 20 per minute. So get ready. Please note multiple options can be marked. Timer has started. So 96% have voted for Parkinson's disease and normal blink rate. Yes. So as per De Jong, yes, normal blink rate is 12 to 20. We consider same as our breathing rate. And blink rate is decreased in Parkinson's disease and more so decreased in PSP. And because of decreased blink rate, there is a staring look that is also called as Mona Lisa gaze in PSP. And please note that in MSA and dopa responsive dystonia, the blink rate is normal, but the blink rate is increased in schizophrenia, chorea. It is also described in post-encephalitic Parkinsonism, and of course, some patients of tic where they have increased blinking. Loss of spontaneous blinking has been reported in Balint syndrome. And the peculiar finding is those who are having altered sensorium, if there is a blinking, we consider that that is an indirect evidence of intact pontine reticular formation. Coming to next question, 7. Regarding echolocation, what is true? So here also multiple options can be marked. Option A, echolocation is used by bats and dolphins. Option B, blind persons use this technique to judge the obstacles in their path. Option C, humans cannot use this technique. And option D, blind persons can use tongue clicks and hear the echoes coming from those tongue clicks. So the timer has started. Multiple options can be marked. Okay. Great. So humans can use this technique, especially blind people use this to overcome their visual impairment. So I'll come to that. Echolocation, yes, it is used by bats and dolphins like a sonar technique. Humans can also echolocate by listening, like passively by getting the echoes coming off the furniture or the obstacles in their path, and actively by making the tongue clicks. Those are sharp tongue clicks, very brisk, and they listen for the echoes coming from that. And it is considered that in view of visual impairment, there is compensatory enhancement to overcome this visual impairment, cross-modal plasticity underlying this phenomenon. So there is an interesting video. I hope the video is visible.
I am a man who uses the techniques of a bat to navigate. And I have no recollection of ever having seen. So we have a structure here that has a roof, a pavilion. I got my first bicycle when I was 6.
He's constantly using the
Go hiking alone in places I don't know. I've traveled to nearly 40 countries. I learned at a very early age that when I click my tongue, I get feedback from the environment all around me. It does not have the degree of definition that is available to vision, but it does have contour, it does have dimension, size,
the height of the tree,
positions of things, layouts of things, and it also has information about texture and density. This tree is a total oddball in terms of its shape. So it starts out quite low, and then as you approach it, it quickly comes up, but it doesn't ever get very tall. Anyone can improve their ability to echolocate. My brain...
That is the interesting phenomenon where the person is actually Daniel Kish. He's also running an organization to help the visually impaired individual to use this echolocation technique by using tongue click, how they can simplify or make their visual impairment not as a hurdle in their day-to-day life. And if you remember, there was a program called Stanley's Superhumans, I think on History TV channel. In the first season, they had shown one more person who could bicycle using this tongue click and echolocation technique. Okay, we'll come to the next question. Question number 8. when the patient is suspected to have lumbosacral nerve root compression, when he bends forward and tries to touch the floor with his fingers, what distance from the floor, that is finger floor distance, is a predictor of radiological compression? Option A, more than 10 centimeter. Option B, more than 60 centimeter. Option C, more than 25 centimeter. Option D, more than 5 centimeter. So what is the distance from his fingers to the floor? The timer has started. Yes. So 55% have voted for the correct answer. That is more than 25. Uh, so if the distance from the finger after bending to the floor, if it is more than 25, that was considered as independent predictor of radiological compression. So what happens when the patient bends? There is a stretching of nerve roots as well as sciatic nerve. And on bending, there is a lordosis which is getting cancelled, and that aggravates or accentuates mechanical disc herniation, causing more root compression. This article is from JNNP 2002, where they saw 274 patients, and they found that even SLR was not as good predictor for the root compression, because they said that SLR was able to find root tension or irritation, but not necessarily nerve root compression. So this is an interesting phenomenon, finger floor distance more than 25 centimeter. This is the article. Moving to next, question 9. Regarding flick sign, what is true? Multiple options can be marked. Option A, it is a flicking and shaking movement of the hands. Option B, it is described in carpal tunnel syndrome. Option C, it is a provocative maneuver causing paresthesia. Option D, it is a relieving maneuver reducing paresthesia. And option E, it is described in cubital tunnel syndrome. So get ready. The timer has started. Okay, so 78% have voted for flicking and shaking movement. So it is not a provocative maneuver, and it is seen only in carpal tunnel syndrome. Okay, so flick sign is a flicking and shaking movement, especially more used in the night as patients are more symptomatic at night, and they feel relief after flicking or shaking. So there are other methods also to relieve it. Some people just hang the limb beside the bed. Some people do rubbing or massaging of the arm or the wrist or the fingers. Some people also try tapping on the thigh to relieve this paresthesias and pain. And that is a relieving maneuver. So what is the mechanism? So there are some theories. They say that on flicking or shaking, there is increased proprioceptive input. There is also increased venous return or increased venous pressure and volume, and some increase in arterial pressure. So what happens? These things allow there is some movement underneath the flexor retinaculum. So there is kind of untethering allowed due to these maneuvers. One more theory is also said that due to compression under the flexor retinaculum, there is a stasis and some edema in the nerves, and by moving, they allow that edema to reduce and some electrical stability can be achieved. So these are proposed mechanisms for the flick sign. And some studies have shown that out of clinical signs of Fallon sign or Tinel sign and flick sign, the flick sign is more sensitive or more reliable sign out of these. And what are provocative tests? Fallon sign, like a ulta namaste, where we do a wrist flexion. Then there is reverse Fallon sign, where we do like a simple namaste maneuver. Tinel sign by percussing on the nerve root, where the nerve traverses. There are some additional signs like closed fist sign. When the fist is tightly closed for 60 seconds, there is a paresthesia and pain. Second is Durkin's compression test or carpal compression test. When a wrist is kept on the table and examiner presses or compresses 3 fingers over the carpal tunnel. Third provocative maneuver is hand elevation test. That is, on raising the hand above the head for up to 2 minutes can cause this paresthesia reappearance. Next question, what is Fowler prodromic? So multiple options can be marked. It is also called as prodromal laughing madness or prodromal crazy laughter also. B, it is pathological or mood incongruent laughter. C, it heralds or accompanies development of brainstem stroke. Option D, it is seen in basilar artery occlusion or capsular genu stroke. So please mark, timer has started. Okay, so please note that all these options are the correct ones, and I think most of you have gotten correct. So Fowler prodromic is a prodromal laughter or crazy laughter. It was first described by Ferre. Ferre has also contribution of describing, describing gelastic epilepsy. This laughter is mood incongruent. That's why it is considered as pathological laughter, and it accompanies the development or just beginning of the stroke, like a prodromal symptom, typically seen in brainstem stroke as a part of basilar or vertebrobasilar occlusion, and it is also seen sometimes in capsular genu. There are reports where people have described it in pontine lesions like pontine tuberculum also. Some people have mentioned in ICA occlusion also, but commonly it is seen in brainstem stroke. Other prodromal feature where there is prodromal crying, it is a very rare phenomenon, but that also can be seen in brainstem stroke. That is called as Foley's Larmis prodromics. Next one, what is grandchild sign? Here also multiple options can be marked. Option A, the child of the patient coming to you, when you ask his child or son or daughter, whether you will allow the patient to drive the grandchildren in the car, and he says no. Option B, it is related to dementia. Option C, it is the presence of the mental retardation in grandson of FX stars patient, Fragile X tremor associated syndrome. Option D, the hairstyle of the grandfather matches with that of a grandchild. Option E, all of these. So the timer has started. Multiple options can be marked. Great. So yes, option A and option B are correct. So what is the sign? When the clinician asks the child of the dementia patient whether they would allow the patient to drive with the patient's grandchildren, and they answer in negative, that is an indirect indicator that the person with cognitive decline is no longer considered as safe for the driving. And other signs in dementia are head turning sign or positive head tilt sign, where the patient constantly looks towards the spouse or the relative or the carer when the clinician asks the questions regarding history of the patient or during the neuropsychological formal testing. This is from Practical Dementia Care. Next one, how to assess hyperacusis in facial palsy patients at the bedside. Option A, shout from 6 feet distance and assess which side patient hears louder. Option B, finger rub on each side and assess which side patient hears louder. Option C, using stethoscope and tuning fork. And option D, don't bother, just send to ENT or audiometry department. So get ready, timer has started. for finger, but the correct answer is using stethoscope and tuning fork. So how it is done? So what is hyperacusis first? So it is the abnormal loudness, especially for the lower tones. The stapedius muscle normally dams the conduction across the ossicular chain, and this allows the very loud tone coming to the ears. So what happens when there is facial palsy proximal to nervus stapedius? It causes abnormal loud hearing on that side. That is hyperacusis. And what is this stethoscope loudness imbalance test? This is the test where I think stethoscope is worn by not the clinician, but to be worn by the patient. And a vibrating tuning fork is placed on the bell of the stethoscope, and the side which is paretic, that side patient will hear louder, or the sound will be more lateralized to that side. So that is called as stethoscope loudness imbalance test. This is from Bradley's 5th edition, and I wonder why they did not keep it in the next subsequent editions. I have tried it myself in many patients, and to be very frank, maybe 20 to 30%, I would say this test was positive, not in all. Next question. Which of the following statements are true about micrographia? Option A, isolated micrographia it has been reported in cortical lesions. Option B, large right AC infarcts and putaminal and capsular genu lacunar infarcts can also cause micrographia. Option C, fast micrographia is seen in PSP and pallidal lesions. Option D, it is seen only in Parkinson's disease, and rest all above statements are false. So regarding micrographia, five seconds remaining. Okay, great. So many of you have marked correct. So micrographia, isolated micrographia has been reported in cortical lesions also. So it is considered as probably it is at dominant parietal lobe. So not just the basal ganglia lesions or the diseases cause micrographia. And there are reports where large right AC infarcts, lacunar infarcts in putamen and genu, and even with lenticular hematoma, micrographia has been described. And what is fast micrographia? The typical micrographia, what we see in PD, the normal size letters gradually become smaller, and the speed of the writing also goes down, becomes slower. But as opposed to that, fast micrographia is letters might be small from the beginning, but the speed is always normal right from the beginning till the end of the task, and there is no fatigue. So this is seen or described in PSP. I think in PGF, progressive gate freezing variant, it has been described, and also described in pallidal lesions. So there is a good article in JNNP, and also UMS sir has described in Annals of Indian Academy of Neurology. So now coming to macrographia, what of the following conditions can have micrographia except option A, cerebellar disease, option B, essential tremor, option C, Huntington's disease, option D, autism spectrum disorder, option E, none. So the timer has started. Macrographia except 5 seconds left. Okay, so 72% have opted for none of these. That means it is seen in all the conditions which I have mentioned in the options. So in cerebellar disease, definitely due to the kinetic component of the tremor and the impaired check, where patients cannot stop where they are supposed to stop their handwriting or the stroke of the hands. Secondly, it has been mentioned in essential tremor also. There is an article in 2014 by Martinez et al. Then there is also mention of macrography in Huntington's disease, autism spectrum disorder, children with ADHD, and in last three options, it is considered as probably it is the cerebellar dysfunction causing the macrographia or the megalographia. Next question, what is not true about tachylalia? Option A, tachylalia is increased speed. Option B, tachylalia is increased speech speed with decreasing speed. I'm sorry, decreasing volume. The option is not mentioned well. Option C, reported in patients with cerebrotendinous xanthomatosis, CTX. Option D, it is reported in closed craniocervical trauma. So get ready. Are you able to choose? Yeah. I think timer, yeah. Option B is increasing speech speed with decreasing volume of the speech. Okay, 100% have opted for this option, which is the correct one. So tachycardia is increased speed of the speech. It has been mentioned in patients of CTX, particularly 20 to 40. So what they say that in less than 20 years of CTX patients, the speech is normal. In 20 to 40 years of age group, the speed of the speech is more. That is why it is called as tachylalia. And as the patient worsens more than 40 years, there is a typical cerebellar dysarthria. So it is the beginning of the cellular dysfunction giving the tachylalia kind of a tone to the speech. And in the later part, it becomes severe. There is a report of late onset tachylalia development after a closed traumatic craniocerebral injury with bitemporal glasses. This was reported by AIMS, New Delhi. And what is the option which was wrong? It is tachyphemia. So what happens? The speed is increasing, but the volume is decreasing. It is typically seen in Parkinson's or Parkinsonian syndromes. That is tachyphemia. So we know that there is echolalia, polylalia, and there is something interesting. It's tachylalia seen in CTX. Next question regarding Beaver's sign. What is true? Multiple options can be marked. Option A, upward movement of the umbilicus while flexing the head or doing the sit-up. Option B, it has been reported in FSHD, facioscapulohumeral dystrophy, and adult onset Pompe's disease. Option C, it is seen in spinal lesion between T10 and T12, which can cause lower abdominal muscle weakness. And option D, inverted Beaver sign is downward movement of the umbilicus. So get ready. Timer has started. I don't know, it is showing 0%. Was this question, could people mark this question? Hello?
We marked,
Hello?
we marked the correct ones, but I don't know what it did.
It is showing 0% voting.
Something is wrong.
Okay. I'll just go back. Is the timer working? No, I don't know. Something's wrong. Can you mark now? I request all of you to please mark now.
No.
The option is not available?
No.
Oh. Because now the timer is working. Okay, I'll just move on. I don't know, it's not moving on also. Okay, now the percentage is visible. Fine, so all of these options are correct. So it was first described by Charles Edward Beaver. It is upward movement of the umbilicus on flexion of the head or during the sit-up maneuver. And of the rectus below the umbilicus. So the acting muscle or the normal power muscle is able to move. And it is also seen in spinal lesions between T10 and T12, like conditions of tumor and syringomyelia of the spinal. Myopathies like FSHD, and it is also reported in adults with Pompe's disease. What is inverted Beaver sign? It is ulta of Beaver sign, where there is a downward movement of the umbilicus because upper part is weak and lower is intact. Okay, we'll move to next question. What is true about cold hand sign? Here multiple options can be marked. Option A, cold, dusky and violaceous hands with poor circulatory return after blanching or after pressure. Option B, seen in idiopathic Parkinson's disease. Option C, seen in MSA. Option D, none of these. I hope it works. Timer has started.
Not allowing voting.
Oh.
Go back.
Shall I go back?
Yeah, go back.
Okay. Is it allowing now? I don't know now. The timer is also it's showing 0%. Can I just stop share for a moment?
No, don't stop share. Go back and start the Slido.
Is it visible?
Nothing. Just now share it. Share your screen.
Yeah, I think my internet connection is unstable. I keep my video off, but still, I think. But till now, I think it was working, no?
Yeah, it was working. Now your screen is not being shared. Maybe you can try using your phone hotspots.
I'm clicking on that, but is it visible, sir?
No. Screen is not being shared. Okay.
No?
Yeah, it started. Yeah, okay.
Is question 17 visible?
Not yet.
Oh, 70 number. I can see. I don't know.
Now it is.
It has come.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So maybe I'll try this again. Is it visible? Is the question on Slido panel visible?
No, it's slowly coming. Let's see. Not yet. Okay, now it's saying get ready.
I don't know. The timer immediately goes to 0 and it shows 0% voting. Is it the experience with
voting closed? Go to the next question.
Okay, well, I'll just move to next. Yeah. So is it moving? So 0%. I don't know. Okay. So yeah. So the cold hand sign is seen in MSA. The hands can be cold, dusky, violaceous, purplish appearance, and they will have poor circulatory return after blanching by pressure. It is considered as feature of autonomic dysfunction and poor neurovascular control. And of course, it is not seen in IPD patients. So next question, is this visible?
Yeah.
What is this clinical sign used in sensory examination? Option A, Babinski's other sign. Option B, Bolus-Courier sign. Option C, Holmes-Stewart sign. Option D, Charcot's mixed shake. I hope the voting works. Is it working? Timer has started.
Yeah.
I hope it works. Okay, 42% chose Charcot's mixed handshake. This term does not exist. This I made up yesterday night. So the correct answer is bolus Courier sign. Babinski's other sign is in hemifacial spasm, where eyebrow is raising when there is facial spasm. Home steward sign is rebound phenomenon, which I had discussed in ataxia quiz. So what is bolus Courier sign? Interesting is this was published in NEJM in 1963 by William Bolus and Robert Courier. William Bolus, a resident of neurology then, and he's associate professor from the University of Mississippi School of Medicine. So what they said for hysterical hemianalgesia, where they say that there is only half of the body is sensation is intact and other is not. So they describe that with this maneuver, where the patient hyperpronates the right hand and it crosses the midline, goes towards left, and other one goes similarly, and fingers are interlocked. Please note only the fingers except thumb are interlocked. Thumbs are kept straight. And during this, we will examine the patient. We will just randomly touch the areas or the fingers, and we will just ask the patient, are you feeling yes or no? And after that, crossed fingers are brought to the chest so that the thumbnails are visible outward. And please note, thumbs are not crossed. And again, we ask patient to tell after checking each fingers which side he's feeling. And because of this intertwined mixture, and if patient is forced to answer immediately, the hysterical or the psychogenic or the functional sensory loss can be detected. So that is bolus Courier sign. And I must say, Dr. Madhusudanan Madhu sir from Kerala, he's very fond of asking this sign. Okay. Is the next question visible? This is question 19. What is true about red ear syndrome? Here multiple options can be marked. Option A, it is a psychogenic phenomenon brought on by rubbing ear to seek attention. Option B, it can be associated with migraine. Option C, it commonly has excruciating pricking kind of a pain and reddening of external ear. Option D, reported in association with trigeminal autonomic cephalalgias or TACs. So let's get ready. The timer is not working. Yeah, working. Multiple options can be marked. Okay, many of you have chosen last two option, but the correct thing is it can be associated with migraine and it can be associated with TSCs also. So what is this red ear syndrome? It is a very rare syndrome. It is brief paroxysmal attacks of reddening of external ear. The pinna is more involved, and there is a burning pain. The common pain is burning type, and the pain is predominantly located to ear lobule. This can be associated with migraine also and TSCs also. And in secondary etiologies like C3 root irritation and TM joint dysfunction also, this has been mentioned. There are reports of maybe less than 200 case reports of this red ear syndrome. It is common or more described in females, and median age has been told to be 44 years. So it can be brought on by rubbing, but it is not the psychogenic phenomenon. And I don't know if many of our senior neurologists have seen this phenomenon of red ear syndrome. So the burning pain is common, but there is also jabbing or sharp pain or dull-ache pain is also described, but it is rare. Burning pain is more common. And it is said that if it is associated with migraine, the migraine prophylaxis can help to reduce this red ear syndrome. And it has been described in SUNA also. So what they say, that the pain intensity of the primary headache is usually more in assessment of visual analog scale, and the pain of this red ear syndrome is usually lesser compared to the headache pain severity. Okay, coming to the last question. What is the method to reinforce plantar reflex? Option A, by keeping knees flexed. Option B, by cooling the feet. Option C, by turning the head to the opposite side. Like if you are checking the right side plantar, turn the head to the left. Option D, by using general-stick maneuver. So get ready. I hope the timer is working. Okay, great. So 67% have voted for the correct answer. That is by turning the head to opposite side. So in the quiz, we have Sriram, Jose, Anjana, Jitin Binoy, and Mr. Fidge. So coming to the explanation, so patient should be relaxed and patient should be forewarned about the stimulus at the plantar site. The knees must be extended as the upgoing toe may be abolished by flexion of the knee. This is mentioned in De Jong. The reflex may be inhibited when the foot is cold. So you may prefer to warm the foot, and reflex is increased by warming the foot. And the response can be reinforced by rotating the patient's head to the opposite side. Okay, there ends the quiz, and thank you all. Yes, sir.
Very nice.
Thank you, sir. The winners are Sriram, Jose, Anjana, Jitin Binoy, and Fidge.
So I have asked you some questions. What about Chopstick signs in tetany?
Yes, sir. Shostak sign is percussion at the preauricular area when there is a twitching can be facial of the facial muscles can be seen, and usually it is the lip subtle lip movement can be earlier can be optional. If it is florid, the facial muscles can be seen in twitching. So it is also seen, of course, in hypocalcemia as well as in hypomagnesemia. So magnesium levels are to be seen.
And the other two questions, do you titrate the dose in schizophrenia by looking at the blink rate?
Sir, I don't know.
Because antipsychotics will cause Parkinson and reduce blink rate.
Yes,
Actually, the blink could be a very early screening. You could see a lot of people with a very fast blink rate. They are all prone for it's a sign of dopamine excess.
Yes, sir. Dopamine.
Sign of dopamine excess, and as you know that schizophrenia is a state of dopamine excess, and then the exactly opposite of and that is exactly why when you treat them, you also get a drug-induced Parkinson's. Again, so as you said, when the blink rate goes down, that you are heading towards drug-induced Parkinson's. You are right. We also titrate by Bayesian because my exposure in the Institute of Mental Health, I observed this, that you will see a schizophrenic's son or daughter, whoever is susceptible, will have an increased blink rate. They will have very increased blink rate. You could see they'll have flutters of blinks. In fact, the blink is not just a casual. You will see the flutter. It's a good question. Oh. Overall, congratulations, Ashish. You have done a wonderful job.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations to you. You have done a wonderful job. I enjoyed it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Sir, one more thing, in normal aging and in cataract, there is also some tendency to absorb more yellow light. So what happens? Body is trying to compensate by giving extra blue perception. So initially patient may have normal vision, and once the the lens is replaced, they will have excessive bluish kind of a vision, because body was initially compensating by giving more compensatory high blue perception. So that is one more phenomenon regarding dyschromatopsia.
Interesting.
Yes.
Deuteropsia. Deuteropsia.
Yeah. So
this echolocation is also interesting, but why do you have to do it with your lips? Why not make a simple mobile phone or something giving out click?
Sir, I don't know, but that person who did that, Daniel Kish, who's also running organization, he said that the sound has to be very crisp, very sharp, and it has to be a very, a short sound. And what he said that if it is a long sound or a fluidy or a mushy sound, it will not give the reflection. So he also showed, I mean, there are a lot of videos. He's come on BBC, CNN, and many things. So he holds one sheet, an acrylic sheet, and he holds it near his face, and then he takes that sheet away, and he shows how the sound varies with that. I mean, the echo varies, and he can perceive it. And
No,
wonderfully, he has.
Interesting, no question.
Yeah.
Instead of teaching the guy how to create the sound and also how to hear it back, the creating part can be removed by just creating as crisp a sound as you want. You record his own sound and use that to play back, you know.
I think, Sudhir, it must be the fact that, the brain kind of evolves. So it's the same sound being picked up simultaneously, being appreciated as you produce it.
Maybe.
I doubt if a prosthetic would work as well.
Yeah, and one more.
Maybe you're right.
Sir, one more thing is, what he does is he's constantly making that sound. Like, so every almost like every second he's making the sound to keep getting perceptions and the echoes. So when he was seeing the tree, so from the low height to high height, he was constantly clicking, doing the tongue clicking. I'm sorry, sir. Lakshmi sir, you were saying something.
See, whenever there is a sensory deprivation of one modality, the like you get an exaggerated reflexes. The zone of reflex increases, no? Similarly, particle area widens, and normally you and me will not be able to perceive the echo sound so quickly. So it is essentially because the neuroplasticity results in a broader mapping of the audiogenic zone, and especially in the auditory association areas, and that is why the depth perception of your stereotypy, vision, stereoscopic vision becomes stereoscopic hearing. What exactly happens is the depth perception of your vision exactly translates into depth perception of hearing. So that is why they will be able to make clearly assess the distance from where the sound comes. And which you can even, I have demonstrated to my residents, asking them to close the eye and then giving a sound from various distances to show them the tonal preferences, the frequency preferences from a distance, how it changes. In different areas, I make them, ask them to make sound and ask them to point out. So they understand the beauty of hearing better.
Yes, sir.
Is that also
I really congratulate you. It's a good quiz.
Tapping the cane is actually giving them both sensory feedback as well as auditory feedback.
Yes.
Yeah, I suppose.
You must be aware. The one very interesting thing is most of the afferent nerves, cranial nerves, they are not modality specific. You can take the auditory input, for example, a visual input onto the spiral ganglia, it homes to the occipital cortex. They have done this experiment in one patient where they wanted to do a retinal implant. There was a huge tumor, SOL. So once they opened, they put it on the spiral ganglia. The signals homed to the occipital cortex. Then they realized that it is not all the cranial nerves are not modality specific.
There can be cross.
They just carry, but they carry to the exact target where it does goes. How it goes to the defined area is not known. There's a beautiful article on Current Opinion Neurology on this aspect. How you can now most of all these fellows, a blind man can hear those sort of, the blind man can see the cross modality of transfer of impulses. So in other words, you can have an implant in the skin, the proprioception for a visual implant. You don't have to go there and put it. You understand? The other modalities can be used for creating implants. So this is going to be the
next big
future.
Lakshmi,
send
me that article.
Tactile impulses. Yeah.
Send me that article link. It's very interesting.
I will do this. I will send you. Yeah. Yes, sir. It was not modality specific. It's a beautiful Current Opinion Neurology. I will send it to you, sir.
Yeah.
It is a task specific, not modality specific.
Wow. But
always home to the area of the.
I mean, then what is the point in all our pathways? We talk about the somatosensory pathway going like this, the visual pathway going like that, the auditory pathway.
It will all be, the concept will change after the implant age. The concept will completely change. You know, we are doing the brainstem cochlear transplant. You just they are keeping it in the preponderant system, and you know how beautifully the persons are. You'll be surprised, sir. Mohan Kameshwaran, one of the fellow has scored, come in the first 100 ranks in JEE and secured a seat, and is studying his MS in Boston. So in fact, our chief minister's scheme, they have approved cochlear transplant, and we have done more than 200 complex. I mean, there was a beautiful get together of the boys who have underwent cochlear transplant. We were very happy, sir.
Can you do one thing? Can you take a talk with Kameshwaran on auditory implant?
So he'll be thrilled. I can ask him. He'll be happy. I can fix one fine talk with sure, sir. He spoke I called him to the residents, and he spoke to all our residents. Beautiful talk. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
No, I think we are done. So I think next Sunday is we'll be putting out the program, but it is radiology and
musical day.
And music.
Musical day.
Yeah, which should be quite interesting. So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Lakshmi. Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you, Lakshmi, sir. Thank you, everyone, sir. Thank you, Rup sir, Sudhir sir.
Bye.
Ashish, well done. Bye.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
Ashish,
Thank
lovely.
you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Sir. Bye. Bye, sir. Thank you.
Ashish does a lot of efforts.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Ashish, I've sent you a message.
Message I can't see,
WhatsApp.
sir. Okay, okay, sir. Yes, yes. Sure, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Well
Thank
done,
you, Rahul,
Ashish.
sir.
Excellent.
Rahul, sir. Thank you.
Rahul, you also well done. We were
Yes,
complimenting you guys. I think you were not.
Yeah.
The whole series has gone on brilliantly. Yeah.
Series has gone well. We hope to run a similar series in near future. Let's
Yeah. Chalo.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Sir. Thank you, Mansi ji.
Yeah, anytime, Ashish.
Thank you. Thank you.